I'm going to change the brakes on my 2010 Nissan Altima. When I bought the car, it had these on it and it didn't have a key, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get that off. I went to the parts store and I got this tool, and I've been trying to tap it on here with a rubber mallet, but it's not working, so Davey's going to get me a steel one. And you're supposed to thread it on there like that, and it's supposed to bite and pull the lock off. So let me wait till she gets back with the hammer and I'll tap it on. Okay, after I beat the hell out of it, I got it loose. Probably be a little bit of a trick to get it out of the socket now, but it has left-handed threads and it's in there pretty good, so I'm going to knock it out from the back side, I guess. Yeah. Let me do that. I'm going to take the rest of these off so I can change the brakes. Okay, just a tip for you. Make sure you break the lug nuts loose before you jack the car up, because don't take them off. Just loosen them up so you can get them off. Because if you don't, when you go to take them off, the wheel will just turn, or you might engage the transmission and mess something up. So always break your lug nuts loose, then jack it up, and then you can take them off the rest of the way. Let me take this tire off. Okay, we got the tire off. As you can see, the brake rotor doesn't seem to be in bad shape, but we don't have very much pad. Now I'm going to go ahead and change this rotor because it wobbles when you brake, so I think it might be warped. They get hot, you drive through a water hole or something, and it contracts real fast and it causes it to warp. Now what we have to do is we have to remove this bolt and the one at the bottom down here, and then take the caliper off, and you want to hang it up here so it doesn't fall down. And you want to take the brake shoes off, and then you have to take this bracket off, which has two bolts, one here and one down there further. I don't know if you can see that right there. You have to take those off. These are 14 millimeter, these are 22 millimeter. So let me get to that. These are the bolts that come out of the back of the caliper to hold it on. Once you get those loose, the caliper should come right off. As you can see, we're pulling it off. And for right now, I'm just going to set it up here. Okay, now these shoes, you just want to pull them off like that. You want to leave the clips for now. Pull them off like that. Now these here, we're going to take these off and clean them. I'm not sure why you need to clean them, but anyway. And then we're going to take these, you see right here, you have to pull the rubber back from them like that and pull them out, and we're going to clean that and re-grease that. You should do that every time you change your brakes so that you don't they don't seize up on you. Alright, let's see. I'm going to set that back there for now. Okay, now I have to get the 22 millimeter and take this bolt out and this bolt right here out. Once we get those out, this part will come off, and we'll get it cleaned up before we put it back on. We'll change the rotor out and put this back on, put the brake shoes and everything back on. These brake shoes still have some pad left on them. The other side I don't think has any pad left on it because they're squealing, but that's in the neighborhood of almost acceptable, but definitely needed to be changed. I think 2 millimeter is the least can be on here, and that's the thickness from the metal right there to the edge of the pad. And if it gets any less than that, you're going to have the problem we're going to have on the other side, and we'll see that when we get over there. Alright, Just so you know, these bolts are to get loose. And once you get them loose, that comes right off. And this is what they look like. And you have to torque them back down. I don't know what the specification is on it, but we're going to worry about that later. Next, we're going to take a rubber mallet. Take a rubber mallet, and you're going to want to break it loose from the hub here, the rotor from the hub. So let me do that. I'm going to have to smack it with the hammer a couple of good times to get it loose. Okay, this is the new rotor. When you get them, you want to clean the braking surfaces off with brake cleaner. And in this case, I'm using denatured alcohol because that's what I got. If there's any grease on there, you don't want it to contaminate your brake pads, because then they might fail, or worse, squeal. And if you notice, the back is thinner than the front, and somewhere on here, right there, is the part number, and somewhere else on here is supposed to tell you the thickness. It's like 24 mil is the minimum to 22 mil. So if that got thinner than 22 mil, then you'd have to definitely replace it, or they couldn't turn it. And a responsible shop that's insured wouldn't turn it. So then you just set it back on there like that. Once you knock the other one off, it comes right off. Now all you got to do is to mount the bracket back on here. Oh, I had it right the first time. Like so. Put the bolts back in it, and then easy peasy. Be right back. Okay, I got the brake caliper holder back on there, bracket. Now you need to make sure whichever one of these you take out, you need to put it back in the same place. So this one come out of the top. Now we're going to put some lube on there to keep it from seizing up. This is what I got from the parts store. It's pipeful. And we're going to lube it up like that. Okay, and then the other one has a duty on the bottom, so it goes on the bottom, I guess, and put them back the way they come off. I've got those greased up and put in there. Now we need to squeeze the caliper back down so that it will fit properly. Now they have a tool. There's a flat metal plate that goes here and a shaft that you screw down that pushes it back in. And I don't have one of those, but I have a C-clamp. So we're going to use that to compress this cylinder back down. And all you professionals out there, I know I should probably clean this, clean that, do this, do that. This is the way a do-it-yourselfer does it in the backyard. Actually, I'm in the driveway, but this is the way we're going to do it. I'm going to unscrew this so that it'll fit over the caliper. It's got to fit over the cylinder of the caliper. Should have had that already done. And then we're going to take it and we're going to put it on there like that and squeeze it down. We're going to put one of the old brake pads in here to keep from damaging the cylinder. And we're going to squeeze it down. We'll do it just like that and then squeeze it down. Let me do that real quick and I'll be right back. One more thing. Make sure you remove the brake cap so the pressure doesn't build up inside the master cylinder before you squeeze the cylinder down. Once you squeeze the caliper down, it'll look kind of like that. Let me untwist this. And then you want to slide it back on there like that. But first we need to put brake shoes on. So let me unwrap them and do that. Okay, this little doohickey right here is what they call the squeaker, the cricket. When your brake pad gets down so far, it starts going, and it will dig into your rotor. So especially with these kind of rotors, you want to make sure you change them ahead of time. If you don't, you're going to pay some money to get this refinished, because this is a performance rotor. So yeah, they just snap into these little grooves right here like that, one on each side. And let's see. So let me do this and be right back. Okay, so you can see the crickets are on the bottom. Shoes go with like a kidney shape. They go with the curve of the wheel. And so they come in a pair. One says right front, I guess. I don't know what the hell it says. Can't read that. Anyway, we got the shoes on there, like that. Then we're going to take the caliper, rotate this bad boy, sorry about the noise, and slide it over the brake shoes. And if it won't go over it like that, you're going to have to squeeze down on the caliper some more. So let me do that. Okay, after the caliper's been properly pushed back in, you want to make sure these pins are behind here like that, and these nuts, or bolts rather, screw right into these pins. And the reason those pins are there to allow the caliper to move back and forth. It'll move like this here to help compensate for braking pressures. Alright, see, I'm putting the bolts in there. Once I do this, I can put the tire back on and the side will be done. Tighten this up. And as you can see, this is size 14. So let me tighten these up and we'll switch to the other side. One other tip, when you're putting the lug nuts back on, when you put the tire on, put the lug nuts on and snug them up best you can. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. And then when you put the car down, you could torque them down, because you don't want to put no more pressure on the transmission or have the wheel spinning. In the back, the wheel would just spin. So that's a good tip. Okay, this is the other side of my car. It's pretty much the same issues. I can feel a groove right there where the squeaker's been rubbing. You can kind of see it there. So it's definitely time for brake change. If you probably remember, I had an accident. This is how I fixed the problem. I tied it up with zip ties. And I'm still waiting, suing the guy that hit me, because his insurance didn't want to pay. But anyway, it's the same thing. We're going to do the same thing on the side. We're going to take these 2 bolts out here, and then take the brace off, take the rotor off, and put it all back together, and bang, Bob's your uncle. Okay, you have to be careful when your brakes get too low. The piston gets extended too far, and then your seal starts to go bad right there. I'm going to try and salvage this one. But yeah, see how it's pulling away right there? You don't want that to happen. So I'm going to push that back down in there, try and salvage it now. Yeah, you can really tell when they get low. They make that squealing noise. But that's the little cricket rubbing on the wheel, on the rotor. So let me go ahead and finish taking this apart. Okay, following the same procedure I did on the driver's side, I did it on the passenger side and put the wheel back on. As you can see, the master cylinder has filled back up. So now I'm going to put the cap back on there. Don't forget to put your cap back on there. You don't want your brakes to go out on them. And we're going to pump them up and check them to make sure that they're okay. But you want to make sure the car is cranked, because this power brakes. Let me go get a key. Okay, we have a key. This is push button start. You have to mash the brake pedal. Start it. Okay. Now let's see. Got a good full brake pedal, as you can see. first time you push it, the fluid's got to go back down. Oh, sorry. The fluid's got to go back down and compress the cylinder out, the caliper out, so that the brake shoes will sit up against the rotor again. It kind of has to make a self-adjusted thing down there. And now we're going to test drive it, and if everything is okay, we're going to leave it alone and go from there. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a thumbs up. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, because it is December 23rd. So make sure you get out there and spread the love. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.